What does it take to bring your favorite board games to life? We're sitting down with Renegade's senior producer and their master planner, Dan Bojanowski, who's bringing Ikusa, Samurai Sword Shogun, back to life with a 40th anniversary edition. This is Legendary Tactics. Well, thanks for joining us so much, Dan.
Well,
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. I'd also like to give a quick thanks to Renegade Games for sponsoring this video. Now, the focus of the video is the new 40th anniversary edition of Ikusa Samurai Swords from Renegade Games. But before we get to that, I'm actually curious about what led you to being the senior producer at Renegade.
Yeah, so I've been a lifelong gamer. I've been 20 years or more in the game industry, working at various companies. I started off working in the CCG, TCG aspect because that's where my history was. So I
Nice.
worked at Decipher and Upper Deck on card games like Star Wars CCG, Lord of the Rings trading card game, World of Warcraft trading card game, the Versus System, all those ones. Which eventually led to board games after the industry kind of shifted and I got into board games. So yeah, that's where it came from and how I got started.
Well, I'm so excited about what Renegade's doing because sometimes we fall into this cult of the new and it's always what's the newest game. But you look back in the history of board gaming and I mean, diplomacy, you just
Yeah.
bringing that game to life, finding new iterations of it and still honoring the old Heroscape. I mean, you guys have so many titles. Even Acquire, when that one came out, I was so excited because I think I was one of the few people who actually in my circles knew that game. And to see it reissued is pretty cool. So Heroscape, we may need to come back to that one later because I've been checking out some of your Heroscape stuff.
Sure.
So let's get focused. Now that people know who you are, let's take a look at Kuza Samurai Swords. What was your vision for this game when you first took the project on, and how did you manage to honor the legacy of the original game, Michael Gray's game?
Yeah, so this project was definitely a journey. It was not a linear straight line from A to B. At first, when we first started doing this, the idea was just to get it back on the market because it had been several iterations. It had been a while since the last one. I think 2011 was when Akuza came out, so it had been a while since this game had been in print. So our original idea was just to get it back to market, kind of similar to what we did with Acquire and Robo Rally and some of these other classic games. We were just making sure it came back and was available for current gamers. So it's clear that it is a well-loved game, holds a special place for many. So we kind of took that idea and said, well, let's do something special and bring it back for today's gamers who never experienced it.
That's awesome. Now, the inevitable question that everybody will have is whether it's got the swords. I've got some of the old game back here. And for those of you who don't know, this was a really cool mechanism in the original game where you would sort of draw straws for the turn order. And it came with these little styrofoam stands. So you got to love that stuff. But can you tell me a little bit about anything in terms of the swords, the ninja, any of the classic components that we love?
Yeah, so first off, yeah, everyone loves the swords, and I can confirm, yes, the turn order swords are back. We
Yes.
have
Nice.
also holders for the swords. They are not styrofoam. They are plastic, little holders for each of the swords.
Awesome.
And this edition has lots of upgrades. So we've got gold foil stamping, we've got spot UV, we've got paint washes on lots of the components. One of the components I'd like to highlight is kind of the army boards. These are like the player boards that you have where they have the army things. Yep, just like that. So we've done some revision on these. They still function the same, but one of the things that I love as a gamer is dual layer player boards, where there's
Oh,
two,
nice.
two layers on there. So we've done that with these player boards, so your little armies can fit in there instead of those little peg hooks at the top, those little pegs that go across. It's we've kind of changed how those work, and there's like a little base with a pointer that slides along that experience track
Oh,
and kind of
nice. Okay.
notches in a real satisfying way.
That's
Got
so
gold
sweet.
foil stamping and spot UV, so it's going to look really flashy and really nice on there.
Now,
So,
will there be sort of a recessed area here for your units as they stand in there?
yep, exactly.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
it's one.
That's
It's not each unit doesn't have a recessed area, but each army has a square. That square is recessed, so
oh,
it'll be
so good.
nice.
Well, because I think
So yeah,
some of the units have a square base and some have a round base. I think in the
yeah.
original, is that the case in this one as
So
well?
they all have. We did. So they all have a circular base, all the figures, but what we did is we introduced a base for some of the figures, and the base is something you attach to that circle that will either be that'll match those shapes. It'll be circle or diamond or hex. And that will be on the daimyos and the experience markers and the army markers, so that they can. And some of them have points, so they can slide along there. So yeah, there's some little bases in there. Some same gameplay, but some little changes there. Speaking of that, I would note that we didn't do any changes to the gameplay.
Okay.
It is a great game. We didn't want to. It's such a classic design
Yes.
That we didn't want to tinker with it. We didn't want to risk messing it up. So we knew we had to do other things to make this edition special. Make it more user friendly. So that's kind of the tactic we took. Was let's make it deluxe. Let's upgrade the components rather than changing the gameplay, which everyone knows and loves. Regarding the ninja, you asked about him. He's a classic, and we pretty much kept him as he is. Super sneaky, super strong. Still doing what he does, threatening, taking action, assassinating. He's great.
So good. I mean, the ninja is such a vital component of this game. I think thematically it's just super fun, but it also, because all of the armies can expand, grow, get more powerful, it limits the amount of that you can do without risk. So
Right.
I'm really glad to hear that the gameplay is essentially the same, because when I was thinking, how would I make this game better? There's really not too many ways that I could think of improving it, and there is
Right.
the potential to damage a game. So
Right.
I really love that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Now, so the development process, that's your specific job, I guess, from sort of the early design discussions to the final production. Where do you have the most input as senior producer?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'll talk you a little bit through the process. As I mentioned, when we first started, it was not a deluxe version, but just a reprint to get it back on the market. So at the beginning, it was
Mm,
just kind of outlining what the product looked like. That involves creating a list of components, detailing what they are, what their size is, what is being reused from previous versions, what's being updated, and just defining the project. And that's kind of what I do. Once the project is defined, then we split it into several things happening all at the same time. We talk to the factory about getting quotes, materials, and timelines. There's creative requests that need to be written that say, here's what this player board looks like, here's the things. And there are art requests to be made where we say, okay, here's the art we need and what it looks like, and requests, and put references to it, find the right artist, pricing it all out, doing P&Ls to make sure that we can make money on this and that it works as a product but still is a fair price for the consumers. All that stuff happens. There's a graphic designer that needs to start working. So all this was started with the basic reprint in mind. And then we switched gears and said, okay, well, kind of throw all that out. Now we're going for the deluxe version. So at that point, we had to say, there was already some stuff in process. The art was already going. Some of these things were already moving. So it's been a little bit of a longer process than normal, because then we had to say, okay, let's take a look at every component and say, can we make this more deluxe? Can we improve on this? What can we do to make this more special? So throughout the way, we've had some great teams working on it, some experts to help make sure we're honoring the game history, but keeping it legit. Regarding my role as a senior producer, well, it's like I'm the symphony conductor.
mhm.
I'm not making the art. I'm not doing the graphic design. I'm not writing the rules, but I'm working with all of those talented people and giving them specific direction for the overall vision, the timeline, the budget, and kind of moving things along. It's pushing, reminding people of what's happening, where we're going, and making sure it happens. And then finally, I would say that, we're still working on this project. This has been a long time coming. We're working towards this GameFound campaign that starts on the 14th, maybe live by the time we're watching this. But we're still tweaking the rule book. We're getting some images ready, getting some graphic design, talking to the factory. And when we're doing this, we like these crowdfunding projects, we do like to kind of not have everything buttoned up and 100% done and off to the factory, so that in case we miss something important,
Right.
in case the fans have something that say, you got this wrong, or why didn't you do this? And we say, yeah, you're right, that is a good idea, that we still have time to make some changes. Now, I wouldn't say we're 60% done. I would say we're more like 90% done. So we're not going to like restart and do everything. But if there's a tweak that we can make that will make it a better product, yeah, we would definitely consider that.
I can't imagine the fan base would have any opinions on anything.
Yeah, I've never experienced that.
No, they would probably be the first.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. So I gotta show something to you here. So this is actually my buddy's copy, NATO, of the game, and I bought Axis and Allies when I was a kid, and he bought Shogun. And part of our storage solution back then was this bread bag from
Nice.
1991, I think, and with all the components just kind of mashed in there. So I think there's been a massive shift in the last 10 years, and especially with 3D printers coming out in the storage system. So, and I remember NATO too, he had a particular way of packing the game and it has to go in exactly, the styrofoam has to go a certain way and all that. So what's the plan for styrofoam inserts, and other deluxification elements to contain this?
Yeah, so the styrofoam, I can, yeah, those are, that is the styrofoam. I can confirm that there is zero styrofoam in this edition. In fact, the latest edition of the game, which was Ikusa from 2011, had a really great storage solution for the game, which had those storage trays, but they were made of molded plastic. They're a little bit taller, do this a similar function, but they're made of nice plastic. And we're actually keeping that same storage solution because it works really well. So the box is, the big box, and there's 5 players, so slots for 5 of those planning trays. And then the 6th slot in that thing is the storage tray for communal components. So that's what they did in Ikusa, and we really liked that and thought that worked out great. So we're actually keeping that storage solution. We are adding to those planning trays, we're adding black paint wash to really help the molded details on that plastic piece to pop more. And I would say that another element that we're adding to this production that I don't think has been in any of the previous editions are drawstring bags for storing player miniatures.
Oh, so
So
cool.
you can put away your bread bag. We've got five bags that are color coded for each player, so that they can put store their miniatures in those and have a nice spot for that. It's
Oh,
not needed, but it's a nice feature and certainly an upgrade from your bread bag.
for sure, yeah. My favorite game is Kemet, and I love with my miniatures that I have little baggies for each of the different factions. So
Right.
that's a really nice touch. Love that.
Yes.
Now, was Michael Gray, who's the one who designed Fortress America, the original game was Shogun until
Mhm.
copyright issue Yakuza Samurai Swords had to change the name Milton Bradley. And he did Fortress America. Was he involved in the process at all? Are you in discussions with him? And you've already mentioned that there's no updates to the game mechanisms, but just curious about the backstory there.
Yeah, so we have had some discussions with Michael Gray about this edition, so he is aware of it, and he's very gracious about sharing stories and sharing information. So he's very happy that it's getting some love and attention. Is very yeah, just excited that it's coming back in this way. Like I said, there's no gameplay changes, but we just had a Renegade convention, an online convention last week or 2 weeks ago, and during that convention, a super fan and expert consultant on this project, Thomas Haver, actually did an interview with Michael Gray about this. So if anyone's interested in hearing more of a deep dive into this and what Michael Gray's thoughts are, there's some really great. Anyone who's a board game historian or who grew up in this era, he's such a luminary in this field. The name drops that he has about I played this with this and tested this with these people.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful interview, and I would suggest you check it out. Just search for Renegade Con Michael Gray, and you'll hear a great interview about Ikusa and some of his history and his designs.
Well, I confess I've already seen the interview and loved it, and it was
Great.
fantastic hearing him talk. And I'm interested too. This game has sort of a flavor of Risk, where you've got dudes on a board and you're fighting for territory. It's got a little bit of diplomacy, where you're trying to work with players on the board and convince them to do what you need to do. It's got a little bit of an auctioning with the koku, the rice. So for players or for people who are coming to this video and don't know anything about this game, do you think this is one that will appeal to Risk players and to diplomacy players and to some of these others? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of wow moments in this game that are really neat, and you've touched on many of them. In this issue or this edition in particular, I think the production is going to stand out
Mm,
with all of the metal coins and the plastic pieces and the paint washes and the gold foil stamping and all that stuff is really going to look great and just create a great table presence. There's a few game mechanics that you've already mentioned. The take swords, drawing straws is a very cool and unique mechanism that I really haven't seen in modern board games. And then, we've already touched on the ninja, but he is such a pivotal piece that is both a threat, learning how and when to use the ninja, or when to not use him, when to assassinate, or when to spy, or when to hold him back and use it as a bargaining chip with other players. There's lots of fun with that, and I think that will really appeal to anyone who hasn't had a chance to experience that yet.
For
And
sure.
then personally, I really like the blind bidding portion. You mentioned that kind of auction with the behind the screens. That's a fun moment of will they, won't they, the double bluff. The reveal where everybody shows and it's like, oh no, I can't believe you bid that much, and all the surprise factor with the mind games. There's really a lot of unique elements to this game that set it apart. So I'm excited for anyone new to the game to get to experience it.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you can manage your resources. You're either buying permanent soldiers and they're going to cost a little more, or you've got temporary soldiers who are a little cheaper, but they're ephemeral. The Shogun or the Ronin, I guess they were.
Yeah,
If
and
you're
they've got the surprise
Ronin.
factor of not knowing exactly where they'll pop out, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah, that's so good. So thank you for that. Now I've seen a little bit of the box artwork on your GameFound page, and Takeshi Oga, I believe, is your artist.
Yeah.
Where else are we going to see the art in the game?
Yeah, so there's not a lot of art in the game. There's the box cover, there's the game board, there's the player screens and things like that. So there's not a lot of art, but so we wanted it to be impactful, the art that there is. So we did redo all of the art, and he did a great job of bringing out the color, the authenticity, and the action to those images. The game board is beautifully done. It's simple on purpose, though, because it's a large game board, and with 5 players, with a bunch of minis out there of different colors, it can get pretty busy with lots of moving pieces. So it's a simplified board, but it's a beautiful board, and we're very happy with the new look, and we hope that longtime fans dig it.
That's awesome. Now, do we have sea lanes up here? I think the idea with these was that you didn't want sort of everybody just crushing the middle of the board, having players advance from both sides. You wanted sort of some access so you could
Yep.
back end. Are there any of those things going on?
Yeah, all the gameplay is still identical. The sea lanes still exist, and the naval defense. If you defend against a sea invasion, you get kind of a free first strike defense against them, and all that's still there. So it's
Brilliant.
great.
Oh,
Yeah, and even the cards, the province cards. One of the things I'm excited about is they focus on, yeah, they've just got a kind of a picture of it, but the province that it's using is highlighted in red there. We're doing a similar thing, but these cards in our version have got a gold foil stamp around the edges. They've got spot UV on that highlighted region province, so that it pops and it looks really nice. I'm just really pleased with the overall look and feel of it. It looks really elegant and nice.
ooh, I really can't wait to get my hands on this. That sounds awesome.
Me too.
Now, let's just take a minor detour for a second. We talked earlier about Heroscape, and if people like reboots of this, they probably have some interest in Heroscape too. Tell us about Heroscape, where that game's heading, and what vision you have for it.
Yeah, so I would say Yo Joe is the first thing I would say. So following in the
Oh,
tradition of being the battle of all time, where anything and everything goes, where you got dinosaurs against FBI agents and Roman soldiers and futuristic robots. Now we've got in March 2026, your favorite characters from GI Joe will be transported into Valhalla to fight.
oh wow.
And we've just recently revealed the first products for this, including a battle box, which is perfect for new players, and 3 other army boxes to expand it even further. So these can be played as a standalone, like if you just want to play GI Joe, it's a GI Joe game, or you can mix it with your Heroscape, or you can try it out with GI Joe and then expand into Heroscape. You can play it with the classic 20-year-old Heroscape. It all works together.
That's awesome.
We've just kind of announced in the last week, I mentioned that Renegade Con earlier. During that convention, we opened up pre-orders for it, and you can get a free Serpentor promo figure with any Joe pre-order. So he's pretty bad.
That's cool.
And also at the same time, we announced a whole bunch of new products for our non-licensed Heroscape and for spring 2026, some really neat stuff. Robots with interchangeable friction fit arms that come off. Like
Ooh.
it comes off, and you can put a saw blade or a giant grabby hand in there.
Oh, that's cool.
We got destroyed pirate ship terrain set, a giant kraken boss battle mode, and much more. So, Heroscape.com is full of tons of stuff. We just are always coming out with new Heroscape items. Very exciting. So, if that interests you at all, check it out.
Yeah, knowing this is half the battle. So thank you for
Yep,
that.
totally, totally.
So good. Well, let's conclude. My last question for you is who's this game for? And if people have an old copy of the game, like this rattling around in their cupboard, are there good reasons to get this update? Or if people have never played the game, can you jump into this game and have some fun with it now? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. I won't go so far to say the classic. This game is for everybody. What
Mhm.
I'll say is this is an epic game. It takes a good afternoon or an evening. It's a competitive game and it's a beautiful game. If you like any of those, you owe it to yourself to check it out. The gameplay, which we haven't changed, has stood the test of time. This is the 40th anniversary edition after all, so it's been around for 40 years and is still talked about, still revered. So as for who it's for, I would say anybody who loves epic or competitive or really beautiful games should check it out. If you have an older copy, you have a couple of options. Number one, I would say, is an option to treat yourself. You've got this 40-year-old game. Get yourself a new copy of the game that you love. You love the game. You already know that. The upgrades are not required, but they're certainly nice quality of life upgrades and make the game more attractive on the table. And just, I know for me, like I love Castles of Burgundy, and I had the old like $20 super thin punchboard version, and I literally played it one time,
Mm.
but I play it on BGA all the time. But then I got the super deluxe version from Awakened Realms, which is a really nice production, and now it's hit the table many more times, all the time, because it's a nice production. I love it. So I think a similar situation here. It just makes you feel better about it, about the game, to bring it out more often. So that's option number one, would be to treat yourself and get yourself a new copy of the game. The
Well,
other option, which I think is, go
yeah,
ahead.
I just wanted to add there that some people, they're really, the bling is everything to them. And if you pull this old dusty game out, there's just not that same appeal. So I think it is
Yeah.
a good way to introduce it to modern board gamers who, I mean, I was around back when this first came out. I'm getting up there, but yeah. So one thing I love is games like Diplomacy. They're really good at the 7-player count, or games like Twilight Imperium 4th edition. You get lots of people at the table. So if you have a gaming group with a lot of engaged players, like this is a great choice.
Good point. Yes. And then the other thing that you can do if you have an older copy but you don't feel like doing the full on thing, we have an upgrade option. This is not upgrading the whole thing, but we do have some add-ons in this campaign that I'd like to highlight. So you can keep your copy of the game, but upgrade it using our available add-ons. So there's two upgrades, two add-ons in the campaign that you can just back those without getting the full game. Number one is a deluxe map. So this is the game board with our new art on a neoprene map that has got stitched edges, that is 20% larger than the standard game board.
Oh wow.
And I would note that for those with an older copy, like your Shogun copy there, the standard copy is about almost 10% larger. So we're talking 10% larger, then 20% larger of that. So it's a big, nice map, 20% larger, and it's got neoprene, nice, easy to pick things up. Looks beautiful. So that's something that can work with any version of the game. So that's one option. And then the other add-on we have is called Hit Dice. And Hit Dice, let me see, I have this here. We did Hit Dice for Axis and Allies,
Nice.
and it was well received by the players and by the fans. And what it is, if you don't know, it's a way to speed up and simplify the process of rolling dice.
Hmm.
So in Axis and Allies, for instance, you might have an army with 10 different units, but 3 different types or 4 different types. And because you're rolling just normal D6s, you have to roll for the subs and then roll for the aircraft carriers and then roll for the infantry all separately. So it takes a long time, and there's a bunch of steps in the process. But with these dice, you have certain dice that have certain numbers on them and certain hits on them. So you can say, I need a 3 dice, a 4 dice, a 5 dice,
Brilliant.
and take a whole handful of 10 dice and roll one time and just see really quickly and easily what hits and what doesn't. I got 4 hits. Ready, go. So we took that concept and applied it to Ikusa with the D8s. And there are 3 different styles for the different, hitting on 4, 5, or 6 or less. So you can roll all of your ranged units first and then count up the hits, and then all of your melee units again. So instead of doing like 7 different rolls, you've got 2 rolls, which will really speed it up and make it quicker, easier, and simplified.
Oh, that's cool. Now, the original one we had the D12. Has that changed, or is it
I'm
actually
sorry.
a D12?
Yeah, the D12.
Yep.
I misspoke. It is a D12.
Yeah. Nice. No, that's
No
cool.
gameplay changes. And this one does come, the hit dice also does come with a bag carrier for those, a nice gold one. So.
Oh, perfect.
So both of these add-ons that I've talked about, both the Deluxe game mat and the hit dice, can be used to upgrade your 40th anniversary edition from this campaign, or any previous version, whether you've got Shogun or Samurai Swords or Ikusa. Those can be used and purchased separately to upgrade your version of that game. So we're excited about that.
Wow, you should be a salesman instead of a lead designer on this. That's good. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time to go over the game and the new components. And if people watching out there have any memories with this game or experiences with it, or if you have desires, we will make sure to pass these on to Dan if there's something you want to see in the game while the campaign's on. So make sure you go check out GameFound. And we really appreciate you being with us here today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's been a great time.
Awesome. No worries, man. Now get out there, get gaming,
and be legendary.